fucking Curaleaf and all this bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. As long as I can grow my own, they can fucking take all their dog shit and keep it to themselves.
They can do whatever the fuck they want. Just leave me alone in my own little part of my world.
Well, I can see their place in the world for those that don't have the room or the means. You know what I'm saying? And I think between the people that can't do it, they probably have more than enough business where those of us that can provide a small spot can do it.
That's always been the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, they want to try to strip the rights away, but it's not like everybody who can grow their own is going to. Most people aren't going to process their own. They don't want to fuck with it. Like, yeah, they might be able to grow it, you know, but they don't know what the fuck to do with it after that. So they're going to sit there and they're going to store it and trim it and fucking dry it and cure it. No, they're not going to fucking do all that. They're going to go buy it because they only smoke fucking 2 joints, you know, in a weekend. So it don't matter. It's not worth it for them to fucking do it.
Yep.
We're all like getting all emotional into this passionate debate here on Tuesday night, Toke. It's amazing. Let's hit a little music and we're going to get into this show. As you can see, it's already off to a good one.
Caribou has a crew with a whole bunch of dudes and a couple really cool chicks. Come here to learn, come here to teach. Mostly we come to bullshit. Caribou heart, we all play our part in this cannabis game. Caribou heart, come pop a squat, recreate, or just kill your pain. Rolling up weed into a bunch of dudes and a couple dang dab hits. Laughing along, getting real stoned. Don't forget, dear Uncle Rick. Caribou heart, we all play our part in this cannabis game. Caribou heart, come pop a squat, recreate, or just kill your pain.
All right, Tuesday night Toke. Here we are. What episode number 155, I believe. We got another. Y'all know him from our live chat. We've been you've seen him here Friday nights a million times before. We've been wanting to get him on for a Tuesday or Sunday show. He says, I'm not much of a morning guy. Hook me up in the fucking nighttime. So here he is, the Ganja grower, Chris Mertz. How the hell you doing, brother?
See you, Ganja.
Cheers, all. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
cheers, Chad.
So we were just having this passionate debate on fuck dispensaries and everybody should grow weed. So we're just going to completely avoid that altogether and get right to the hard stuff. What's the worst strain you've ever grown? What's that one plant that was just a fucking pain in the ass and just was like, you know what? I like it. This is really good stuff. I love the finished product, but it's just not worth the fucking hassle.
That's an easy one.
Hey, he's got some of that fucking Canadian internet.
Barney's Farm. Kush.
I'm just glad it's not my internet. Fuck
yeah, always leaves seeds, just miserable. So, well, I think I'm all screwed up here. Sorry, guys. Cookies Kush would be for me.
Cookies Kush?
He's Kush.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, was that a Barney's Farm? I think I heard somewhere in there too.
Yeah, Barney's special. Yeah, it just always was foul and flour.
Interesting. We'll keep a note to maybe avoid that one. But the finished product, how was that when it was done? Was it all pretty good? Because I've tried a few different things from Barney's now, and they've all been pretty good, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was actually it's definitely fire. But it was definitely a fickle bitch. She was definitely not happy, but definitely worth the grow. Things have changed a lot in Holland. I mean, I've been over there a ton over the past 20 years. Married a Dutch girl, and really love the area, but they just so Holland just doesn't have the respect for the genetics as America's really kind of
Cut note.
I think he was
what
actually
you
trying
getting
to
from
say.
Holland, going in and out.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, so they just don't respect like the genetics as much as we do, as you know, trying to separate it and log it, and you know, to do everything we can to like know what's what. They just really don't care about that over there. Or
Exactly. There's just no reverence. It's all about a money making thing for them. They never really have preserved any of the genetics over the last 30-year run, 25-year run that they've had. You know, a lot of the shit you'll get today from Barney's is not the shit that they had. They never held on to that crap, sadly. So really, if you're going to find anybody that has any reverence, the real reverence for the plant is America right now. I think it's as well, and individual breeders, but Holland is more of they've duped people for too long. I mean, it was a great place to go because there was a destination to, you know, it was the place to go and get high. You know, they had the cups and everything, but they just never had any reverence for the plant over the years, sadly.
I was gonna kind of say, you know, like a lot of the people who I've ever noticed who ordered, you know, overseas like that, because you know, back in the day, it was the only place you could get it. You know, you would see guys that, you know, ordered the same strain or something, you know, kind of got caught up in the hype, and you know, they'd have something totally different, like not even close to, you know, even having the same strains, let alone, you know, maybe even having what the fuck they thought they bought. And, you know, it always seemed like those overseas ones were really bad about that. You know, they just threw seeds at you and attached a name to it. They didn't really give a fuck what it actually was.
Precisely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's still going on today, sadly. Yeah, so it's like, that's why I tell people, if you're in America, I don't know why the fuck you're buying anything overseas. Like, between the chance of irradiation and the fact that they have zero reverence for genetics, it's just not worth it. You can get stuff here, and you know, it's so much easier to get stuff here. It's you know, never has to, you're not going to get irradiated, and for most, I mean, 95% of the time, you're getting what you think you're getting. The question comes down to, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that, you know, maybe have ripped off, I'm not going to name anybody, but have ripped their shit off of other people. Some people name their companies after the fact that they ripped their shit off of somebody else.
That's half this industry, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. So, you know, you might get stuff that's pilfered from somebody else, but it is real deal. You know, there's a couple guys out there that I hate them as a person, but I would pop their seeds because I know it's good, and I know friends that have popped it and have good stuff, but I just won't support them just because that came from this guy, not from you. You know, you're just making money off of it.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what it was that.
But I will say,
go ahead.
No, Rick, please.
Well, I was just curious, like, what gave Holland the reputation in the first place? Like, people used to, like 20, 30 years ago, that's where people would turn to get their seeds. Now, to my understanding, it's still not legal in Holland. It's just something that the police just look the other way. As far as the cafes and so on. But I just like, they seem to be the go-to place in the world to get your seeds at one point. And what you're suggesting, Ganja, is to just let it all go.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing about Holland is, you got to understand about the Dutch people is the Dutch people are Calvinistic. Like in Holland, it is improper to close your shades in your front windows. Everybody should be able to see into your house at all times. It's like a fucking aquarium over there. People, so they have this different mentality and culture about them that's very different. And so they don't restrict anything. So they don't, that like, here's a good instance. My first time over there, I was biking around there, and I was staying in North Holland in my cousin's place, North Amsterdam. And there's a tunnel that goes between Amsterdam and North Amsterdam called the I Tunnel. And it's basically a highway with, 4-lane highway. And, I asked the guy at the bike place, hey, it looks like a lot quicker on the map to go just through the I Tunnel to get to Amsterdam. Can I just go through the I Tunnel? And he said, sure, you can go through the I Tunnel. The only reason they told me that is because they don't prohibit you from doing anything. You can bike right down the highway, no problem. What I should have asked him was, is it safe to do that? Because he would have told me, no fucking way, I would never do that. But like, their mentality is they're not going to tell you to do what you can and can't do about anything. But because of the gray area behind their legals about it are, the retail establishments are legal, and there is some written law in response to having a grow shop, not a grow shop, a retail smoke shop,
coffee shop,
but
coffee shop.
Yeah, but getting it, the supply and the growing of it is what was always gray market shit that they've just tolerated because they just look the other way. But I think, even back then, like, there's still, I don't think anybody had good knowledge of the genetics, but there wasn't ever any real reverence. It was just that the cuts would stay. So the same growers were around and were supplying most of Amsterdam. And then after Pim Fortuyn, there was basically prime minister of Holland was assassinated. And that kind of started a right wing, which is, so the right is taken over in Holland. They used to be super left. Now they're super becoming more and more right. And they've kind of, they've chased out all the old time growers. So all those cuts are gone, everything, it's different growers and it's coming from different places. And I think that's part of the whole response, as well as why the genetics are all so foul. There's still some great ganja there, but seems to have moved mostly to Spain though.
That's interesting. You made that comment about people leaving their windows open. And I was curious if that's the same thing with, is prostitution legal in Amsterdam? The reason I asked is because
all figure out that it was going to go right there.
Right Come on.
Come on. Fucking Rick, just right away to the prostitution.
I just didn't think it'd be so simple. I thought he was gonna wait. Like, he might throw out a couple like plant questions,
tidbits or something,
He
was
right
for it.
After Christmas.
You come visit.
Rick's gonna be like, I'm going fishing off the coast.
Come on now.
I think there in Switzerland, you can actually get a prostitute. Like, I don't know what it is in Switzerland. It's like once a month. I think in Holland, like once every 2 months, you get one for free through your med card. It's part of mental health.
No way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm floored.
But that's the way they promote their wares, is sitting in a window in the streets of
old
Amsterdam.
West.
In the red, east side of Amsterdam, outside of Central Square, is the red light district. Yeah, they've got that. They've got Casa Rosa, which has been the premier sex club. Basically, it's if you want to go watch loveless sex, go to Casa Rosa, because it's just basically a rotating stage with a bunch of randoms having sex with a theater audience. That seems to be the big place to go. Everybody goes there. You'll know there's a water fountain out front and the big sign. It's a fancy establishment, but yeah, it's just a sex show.
You know that place in detail.
Frequently. Oh, I've been there.
Program. There's 4 concrete squares you'll count, and then it's right. Yeah, right. It's actually 24 paces from this curb. Just kidding.
Ganja, were you there as a participant or a audience member? Just curious.
Good question.
Either one.
Unless they're willing to give
Rick,
out telescopes in the audience.
Dude, do they like
you know
pick
as
a
well
seat
as
number?
anybody? Everybody's got to take their turn in the barrel.
Dude, it's like the Price is Right. They're like, Ganja
Come on
growers,
down.
come on down. Chris Mertz, you're our next lucky contestant.
Shit,
So,
if
hey,
I can't think of a better reason to hit a dab frog than right now.
Spin the wheel. Oh man.
So hey,
I don't know though.
Mertz, tell me if this is true or not. If I recall, I feel like I've seen something or read somewhere like you can go to the smoke shop or the coffee shop, whatever you want to call it, in Amsterdam, and you can buy weed there, but nothing's allowed to leave. Like that's the only place you can buy it, but you have to smoke it all there. Is that correct? Or like eat it, whatever.
No, I mean, yeah, they're pretty. I mean, even if like in downtown Amsterdam, if you hit a canal boat, most of them everybody will be blazing on the canal boats.
Right on.
Yeah, they have the canal boats. You can, go for an hour tour around the canals. Yeah, everybody's blazing in those things. But on the street, like you can spark up in the street. Nobody's really going to bother you, but you'll get a look of disgust from some people. Like, what are you doing? Some people get pissed, especially if they got kids or whatever. But for the most part, it's a place where you can, they're not going to tell you what you can't do. They're not that type of people.
Their economy, so they're going to look at you and be like, "Fucking tourist."
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep your shades open. That's all we ask.
Yeah, it's funny. And that's like, other than some of the newer population there, they've got a huge influx of people from the Middle East that they don't abide by that. But everybody else, yeah, you will not see a curtain drawn in Holland. I don't care if they're having sex. Like, they don't draw their curtains for nothing. It's crazy.
They'd be first for anything. They'd be knocking on my door, be like, "Hey, could you please close those curtains, sir?"
Yeah, right.
I believe that.
I do too.
Yeah, your grow lights are keeping us awake.
Right.
You're on mute, DP, but that's okay.
You got anything fun going on right now, Ganja? Like growing wise?
Yeah, I've got those. I'm most excited about the those that I got from 40 right now. My first time popping my tree with the auto flowers there. So he sent me some.
You got some of those great Vanvilles?
Trizzles. 2020 Messino Trizzlers. So I popped two of those the other day. So I got that going, and then I've got Piranha, and I've got a cross from Lefty's Farm, which is the Wooderson's Banana OG times a rise. So he's got one of Rasta Jeff's Arise plants that he's been on a couple breeding projects with, but now this last one, he just did a Banana OG to the Arise. So that's the other one I'm excited about. The other stuff's just keeping stuff alive, mostly, I've gotten rid of almost everything, given it to other friends. That's the great thing is, if you have friends that in your area, like just to be able to give genetics to somebody else to hold for a while. I've just gotten rid of Starstruck, Double Dragon. What else did I get rid of? That Cookies Kush I got rid of too. Just to get somebody else to hold on to so I can kind of pop some new stuff.
Yeah, it's what I love about like getting together with some of these people as a community, right? Is, like you might be sick of a cut, but another guy isn't. So you just pass that cut on to them. They grow it for a while. And then by the time you're ready to have that motherfucker back, they're usually glad to give it right on back to you. So.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's that unwritten rule. I mean, I don't know, with my friends, it's, if I give you something, you hold on to it till, or if you're going to get rid of it, let me know first so that I can decide whether I want to keep it. It's worth keeping in my library. But yeah, if you can find a good group of people locally that can do that, or, if you're in Canada, I guess you can easily ship shit everywhere, right?
No, it's definitely supposed to be an unwritten rule, but I'll be goddamned if I haven't lost a few cuts that way.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. Right.
But yeah, it's I try. I know I've got at least 3 cuts that I'll be devastated, but I gave them to like the super fucking insider group. You know, they know what the fucking deal is. So, you know, they might not be the
especially if you
fucking best
run.
growers in the house,
Yep.
but they ain't gonna let the motherfucker die. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I'm doing a lot of the Rasta Jeff stuff is F1, so it's really kind of like it's a search. You know, not that all of it's great, but you know, you're going to find huge variations in a lot of different phenotypes on his stuff. So, you know, you got to work through 20 seeds to kind of find those gems that you really want to keep around. And yeah, so I'd be bummed at that kind of shit. But if I fucking pop a 10 pack, and especially if it's like the obsolete, I'm working through obsolete stuff too. So now that Afghanistan's off the books for everybody and nobody can get in there, I was been kind of working my way through all the Afghani line of obsolete shit, which is all F4, F5. It's just super stable shit. Stuff like that, like I'm not as concerned because now that shit, like every fucking seed is exactly the same. That what I get from those is like there is no real phenotypes really within his shit, but I'm still gonna pop them all because I want to find out if I can find any little extra gems because I really love the obsolete Afghani stuff that he's got, the alien Congolese, the orange alien, the can't remember the other ones. Actually I've got it right here, but yeah, it's alien orange gum, alien orange Congolese, alien sour apple. And that's all that alien tech that he crossed everything to. It's really great and it's kick-ass fucking if you're processing it like or if you're squishing, like it's awesome for that. Or washing. And the structure is amazing, but as a flower, it's not my favorite, but my buddy loves it for squish. It's funny, even purple just had I keep hearing great things about autoflowers. Purple was one of the persons that did great with his last auto that he just did. He got I think he got like 28% squish rate on this stuff. And it was really great stuff. He was really surprised. That's why I say I'm excited about this auto because, you know, I've never done it before. And I keep hearing, you know, a few guys that I really respect actually surprised by them, you know? So fuck it. If I can throw it in the corner of and give it no love and still get a good return, I'll be psyched. I need more lazy plants.
Yeah, it'd be a nice bonus to have for sure. I just tried germinating another one of Hype's hashing gots the other day, and I went and looked in the cup, lift over the saran wrap I had over the cup and in there, and it's like it was like a Mexican jumping bean or whatever, and just like jumped all the way out of the soil, and it was like sitting there completely on top. It was under the soil when I looked at it yesterday. So unless someone went in there and was like fucking with stuff and was rough with it, somehow uncovered it or whatever, I don't really get it. But anyways, you got a tail about that long. And it was nice and furry the first probably half of it. And then the bottom half looked like it was kind of dried up a bit. So I was like, oh shit, flick some cocoa on top of it as quick as I could and see what happens. If I fucked up 3 in a row of Hypes, Hash, and Gots, I'm retiring. I'm just not fit for management kind of thing.
So I was like pinching my stocks the other day, and I accidentally topped one of them. So I guess I'm gonna top them all now, maybe.
Not necessarily a bad thing.
No, but like I was debating on topping them or not, and then that just kind of made my decision for me.
Right on. Maybe you only want to top half of them. See how they work.
Could, yeah.
So I got a question. I hope everybody can stay with me on this. Okay, so now I'm not using my hand here. This is a complete cannabis plant, bottom to top. So maybe a 4 foot. Thank you. Maybe a 4 foot plant. Okay, so I think we all agree that if we were to take a bud from the bottom area and a bud from the middle area and a bud from the top area, that they would all probably test differently for THC.
Mucho comprende.
Okay, so my question is, when you were taking clones, is it possible that the clone from the top would have greater percentage of possible THC than the clone if you took a clone from the bottom of the same plant? Or has that all got to do with light and environment? Or
I don't know if THC and stuff that would typically develop in the flowering would change. I don't have experience there, but I'll find you'll get like a way better clone like with the plant. It just starts off in a much better place if you can get your clones from higher up. They just seem better. Then you were kind of, I remember a while back, you were all stoked about, I think it was an Orangegasm clone that I had sent you in the way of growing. And that was one of the things I tried to start taking all upper clones. And even just a few minutes ago, I was kind of looking over at a Gorilla Glue number 4 in my tent. And the way I topped it, I took a bunch of the stuff that was up high going down the middle. And then you had, when it stretched out in bloom, everything that was off to the sides just like went right up and kind of V-shaping it. And so it's all kind of going down in concave. And I think that you're going to get a lot of really even light dispersion and all around everything in there. I'm really going to play with fucking around more with taking clones from up top and down the center and stuff and see how that works for filling in gaps.
So, I mean, as far as the plant is concerned, that top is all it really cares about, right? It just wants to get as big as it can and tall as it can, you know? So I feel like, I don't know, I'm just talking, but I feel like most of the plant's energy is going to be going to get up, right? So taking them off the top, I feel like they would be maybe a little more vigorous.
Yeah, I think you're.
I don't know.
Also, for testing, you could take one bud and different parts of that bud will still test differently. It doesn't even have to be, a completely separate bud.
There's also a lot of debate on a clone, not even so much on whether you take it from top or bottom, but just, whether it's woody or real supple. You will have a lot different results in your cloning right there. And that doesn't have nothing to do with a top or bottom type situation. So
from what I can't remember what show it was that I was just watching. They did a pretty extensive talk about this, but they were showing like what they were calling, I can't remember what they called it besides genetic drift. There's another word for it that's more scientific or whatever, but they were showing that the least variation came from the bottom, and they were really surprised about that. The least variation from the actual planet came from, opposed to the middle and the top. From what I understood, it was always the best to take it from the top, from what I hear people saying and everything like that. But the top and the middle had the most variation from the actual plant itself. It was pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody in chat was watching it as well as on one of the shows just recently. So if somebody else saw it, maybe they can remember the name and put it down.
Yeah, that top is basically for training. So people like to take the top because it's training as well. So like it gives you a double benefit. You're also breaking that apical dominance of the plant by, pushing the auxins back down the plant and to different areas. So like, I think taking that top is actually, it's going to help the plant that's been being topped, because now it's going to break apical dominance, and that's going to have more collars that all reach for the top. And also that top is easier to root because it's already got all the oxygens needed in heavy concentrates because it's already trying to break apical dominance by being the top. Once you break that, though, I think it doesn't matter where you take a clone from. I believe the drift is that you're talking about. I think while it is a little bit relevant, it's like the plant is this. It's a clone, so it's the exact same genetic makeup of the original. So honestly, I think it's harder to clone from the bottom, but I think the results can be just as good. And I do a lot of clones from the bottom because I don't really like to top.
I can clone from wherever I'm taking them from. I mean, I'm trimming a plant and then I look down and I go, man, there's a lot of shit right here that looks like a good clone. So I'll just trim them up and I got clones. I don't know whether they're fucking tops or bottoms. I just throw them in there and I get clones. But I have heard interesting talk. So if you've ever grown a plant, you get like one weird branch that like shows a fucking mutation, that people will take that one specific branch, chop it, clone it, and then that mutation comes on throughout that clone. And then they will use that clone to breed with to hold that mutation. Even though the rest of the plant doesn't, when they clone that one single branch, that mutation held on through the whole thing. So that's an interesting, I always thought that was super interesting that, just one single branch can be completely different. It's its own thing. So.
Yeah, that's, that makes you want to rethink this whole thing about the,
well,
is that
when you go to take clones, it really makes you think, like, if you have a specific branch that just seems like it's branching better than other branches, like, or all of a sudden it's like trilaterally branching and not just, like bilaterally, then, you take that one and now you just have a whole plant that's going to, continue to do that. So at least that's what I've heard. So, and guys doing it. I have not been lucky enough to come across like a weird mutation like that, but I guarantee I'm looking for one. And as soon as I find it, where you are going to find out.
Caribou, have you still got that double leaf on top? The leaf on top of exactly on top of the other one?
Yeah, I'm looking at the plant right now. That leaf surprisingly didn't get a hell of a lot bigger like I was expecting it to. Just kind of stayed fairly small. But that was cool. I do have one clone off that plant that I don't know. I think it might make it. It might not. Seems like everything from that run didn't work, which is pretty kind of heartbreaking. But it's not the end of the world. I'm just gonna have to do some re-vegging and cut some clones and try and re-veg those. And then I was hoping to pollinate and do a strain up for Fluff there because I had some wedding cake crosses and I know he's a wedding cake fan. And then that male turns out to be a fucking herm, so now that's fucking ideas down the drain because I was gonna pollinate like that purple kush I've talked about and showing a bunch that I'm all hot and horny over. It's none of the clones took for that, so it's like I was already just gonna re-veg the plant after I was done harvesting. But I was thinking if I had some seeds or whatever from that wedding cake by White Widow Afghani male, that would have been awesome too. But no, there's some pretty severe intersex traits there that I just don't even want to fuck with that in the lines there. So it is what it is.
I think that's a general wedding cake thing. It pops its head out every once in a while. And I don't even think it's generally just going to be every seed and plant that comes out of there. Sometimes you get this one bastard that just wants to do it. And I've known a lot of people who have said that about the wedding cakes is, you got to pay attention, but usually, the ones that are rock solid, usually you find out pretty early whether they're going to herm on you. Well, and like the ones
the mother that I grew, we were growing that for the better part of a year. and in like less than optimum conditions, to put it nicely, I guess. So yeah, I would have thought that it would have shown me something if there was something in there, but it's whatever it is, what it is. I'll come up with something else that's really cool. There's always, that's the one thing. It's just is an excuse to start pheno hunting and looking for more stuff. I was thinking about the White Widow White Widow Afghani F2s. When I made those, one of the phenos I pollinated, I'm pretty sure it was number 10. I lost all my notebooks when the divorce kind of happened. And but one of them was like pretty much just a big cola with a couple little branches down near the bottom. And I wanted to start trying to maybe growing baseball bats as well and see if there's something in there, because that I think would be cool as hell. And just, you know, how many fucking 2-liter pop bottles can you fit under a light, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, when you do that, do you take those colas and put separate jars? So like I'll take all my top colas, they always go separate. Everything else gets sorted separately. So all my top colas, I know which ones they are. So I know where do you do this?
I missed the first part of the question.
I'm sorry, my
keep all your tops together.
No.
Yeah, do you keep all your top colas together?
No, not usually. I'll just kind of, all my stuff will kind of, when I'm done, it'll go into a kind of however it fits into the jars that it's going into for the curing and storage and all that.
Right on.
Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah. Like I like to keep it separate just so I know where my good shit is and where my bottom branches are. Like Uncle Rick was talking about how, you know, or Green Goddess too, you know, different THC at different levels.
I was curious, Green Goddess, how do you go about when you do a test? How do you go about that? Do you take it from different parts of the plant, the plant, and then you grind it all up before you test, or how?
So we ask people to bring us different parts of the plant, but unfortunately we can only test whatever it is that they bring. So not everybody does that. So we just, whatever they bring, that's what we test. Hopefully they bring different parts of the plant. Yes.
Are they usually sending you the top stuff that they figure will be the most developed and likely to be higher in THC and other stuff?
Some are, some aren't. And a lot of people are like new growers. They just are curious, or they're trying to grow like a CBD strain or something. So they're trying to get their numbers to see what's going on with what they're growing. If we're doing like another store or our own, we take several different samples and we test them all. And then we basically average it out, which is kind of what you have to do.
Yeah. My internet's being a pain in the ass. I missed that whole explanation. I hope it came through on the YouTube and all that stuff. And I'm not even in a fucking hotel anymore. Like, that was one of the things I was so excited about, like coming home, because that's the other thing is we finished that Williams Lake contract up and we're working local back home now. Freaking amazing. And the household internet is possibly worse than the hotel. Like, that's first world problems.
So when I lived on the reserve, you could only get one internet. And it was like, I would never be able to do this. Like, if one person was on it, nobody else is getting on. Like, it was
like the early 90s with dial-up. Yeah, party line.
Like, I even thought of it getting dial-up. It was so damn slow.
Yeah. Like we've talked before on the shows about like back in like the LimeWire and Kazaa days of downloading music where you'd have your dial-up internet, and that same thing, your sister picks up the phone and all of a sudden you just lost everything you were just doing, or it's like fuck.
I'm not gonna lie, I still wish we had LimeWire. I loved that.
LimeWire, honestly, it's right. I enjoyed, but really, I mean, kind of if you look at Spotify, really, it's the same damn thing. And you can download now with Spotify too if you're premium. So basically, they kind of just redid it.
True.
But you can't like get all the other weird shit that you used to be able to find on LimeWire. You know,
Well,
the games, the
nice
software,
have a group of them, right? And you could just let it do it like while you're sleeping or whatever. You still have to actually go to like each one, right, on Spotify.
One of the things that I miss about places like the LimeWire is you'd get a song that you'd say by a band, or it's like, say, instead of the band is like Slipknot, Pantera, Soulfly, and then like list another 2 or 3 amazing bands, and you're just like, holy shit, so it's probably like the singer from this and the guitar player and the drummer and and you go and check it out and it's like, yeah, okay, this definitely isn't any of those bands, but this is a fucking badass song. I don't really care who it is. I kind of wish I knew, but those are the things I miss.
Oh yeah, that shit cracked me up. Like, I don't remember, but there was I think it was like Chimera. They had some shit on there, like their whole album, right? And like when I first saw it, yeah, it said something about like, yeah, Slipknot, Soulfly, all these, and I'm like, how does all that shit work together? And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, dude, I could totally kind of maybe hear some of that shit. And then all of a sudden you realize it's a whole album from fucking somebody else, and you're like, well, fuck, but I'm glad I found that. That's cool.
Yeah, man. Chimera's first 2 albums were badass.
Dude.
Love those.
But yeah, I found that shit on LimeWire. Yeah, and it was a random ass download. I was looking for some Slipknot, and I got some fucking Chimera, and I was like, well, fuck it, that'll work.
Yeah, that's great. But to me, stuff like Spotify, YouTube Music, all those similar, and I think they're probably all basically the same idea. That's the best investment I've ever made, because as a person, like, music has played such a big part in my life over all the years, and I've said this on the show before too. I wish I had something like Spotify when I was a teenager, because it would have saved me so many countless hours of just sitting here in front of the computer, kind of like I am right now. Like, I spend how many hours in front of a computer with you guys?
You'd have been worse. Don't even try. You'd have been worse. You'd have been like sitting there with like the whole Columbia House record, and all you had to do was fucking just hit every song. You would have never.
It would be queued for weeks, dude.
Yeah. You know what? You're 100% correct, because I was like the last person to get a computer there where you could actually burn CDs. So you would always have to get your friends to burn them for you. And they would ask, they'd say, yeah, man, I'll burn a CD for you. So I'd go and get them like a 10-pack of CDs and a list of about 400 songs. I'd just be like, well, I'll see if I can get like a couple of these. And this is before I knew that, you know, Kazaa and LimeWire and all these other similar things, where it just meant you're just sitting there waiting on a song. Maybe it'll be here today, probably tomorrow, but maybe today.
And then you go to your list and like half of them like didn't download it. You're like, fuck. Try a
You
different
listen
file.
30 seconds of the song 100 times.
Yeah.
You know, that shit cracked me up too. You know, you're thinking about the old dial-up days, you know, when you were trying to be all young and fucking, you know, a kid and looking at some porn, and you were like waiting for the fucking thing to like load and get down to it, you know, before fucking mom came in the room and seen what the fuck was going on. You know, there was like this much of the fucking screen that you had a safe zone, but they knew what the fuck you was doing.
Yeah. You know, I just kind of had a thought here. I look over and I see Indica B sitting there, and I was thinking, Indica B, can we maybe get you to do the pleasure, sir?
Fuck, I don't even know.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, I was trying to find the unmute button. Sorry. Yeah, how are we doing today? How are we all doing tonight? Sorry, I'm fucking blazed. I'm smoking on some of the OKC from the Outdoor Harvest, so that shit's pretty fucking good from Ethos, man. But yeah, if you're all having a good night so far, go hit that like button, and cheers, Ganja. Thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Fuck yeah. Thank you, B.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
He's like, You put me on the spot, asshole. I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that.
man, I wasn't expecting that. All of a sudden, I was like, boom! Like I was like, oh shit! Like I was
all nice
paying
and
attention to the
stoned.
conversation, and then like I was like, well, yeah, hold on.
It's great to have you back, man. We it's not often enough that we get to see and hang out with you.
Hell yeah, man. And then I noticed just sitting here too. I ate one of those 300 milligram gummies from Paula. So shout out to Paula. That's starting to kick in now too. So I'm just chilling. Yeah, it feels good to be back, guys. Thank you. I missed everybody.
Great seeing you, man. You know, especially you went through a lot of health problems and stuff. So you're looking good, man.
Yeah, man.
Glad you're on the end and everything, and you're getting everything together. You know. Oh yeah, cheers, man.
Trying to, man. Yeah. Fucking Lyme disease is no fucking joke, man. So yeah, shout out to everybody battling it and has been through it, man. It's no joke. So
it's like one of those things you hear about, but you don't ever like know somebody that, you know what I mean, has gotten it or something. So it's I heard that's a hell of a thing to go through, and fuck, man.
It is, man.
It seems like you were carrying it for a while too, huh?
Yeah. So for I don't know how long, I go back to see the doctor the 15th, I believe, December. Yeah, the 15th, and find out if I have permanent nerve damage. And I'm gonna ask her. I forgot to ask her last time I was there if there's any way to tell, but she was pretty adamant it was an old infection. So I don't know how long or how old, but yeah. And then it gave me a seizure one night. I had a fucking bad seizure and never had a seizure in my life. It was fucking scared the fuck out of me. And you know, I told Mrs. B, I'm like, nah, I'm good. And it just got worse and worse. So I went to the emergency room, and that's how we found out. Yeah. So my heart rate was it was like 28 to 30 at one point. I was barely hitting 35 for my normal heart rate, you know, resting heart rate. So it was pretty fucking low. It was some scary shit, man. So
good to see you back, buddy.
Thank you. So
back with the force, man. You got that fucking garden up and hopping already.
Yeah, man, that's another good thing. Yeah. So thankful of amazing wife I have. Mrs. B helped out a ton with her working her ass off. But we got the garden popping. So we got some caribou genetics going finally. We got the meathead. Let's see, we got some more hype stuff going. Because I'm pretty sure I fucked up those autos, so don't feel bad. They're like 4 inches tall. They're already in flowers. So I like hurried up, transplanted them to 5 gals. But I'm pretty sure I waited too long to transplant and just I used too hot of soil at first. So I'm gonna pop 2 more of those, give those a retry and see what happens. I've got Cuvée in the flower room right now. Mrs. B took clones of that by TGA Genetics. Shout out to Spartan. That came all the way back from Michigan here to Massachusetts somehow. So and then Tino's Genetics pack that we won on Instagram, Mendo's Cherries, I want to say it is, Mendo Cherries. Pop that. Dragon Flames Genetics, the Garlic Stash 21, pop some of those. Orangegasm. Yeah, Orangegasm. I don't think I'm missing anything. I think that's it.
Is there anything you don't have in that garden, man?
No, man. So yeah, a lot of those are just, man, I got your beans caribou like shit over a year ago. You know, I got those Dragon Flames last Christmas. So, you know, it's like shit. Instead of spending money, we don't have the money on like feminized seeds and shit like that. You know, we just start pheno hunting, going through stuff. So I started with 2 each of everything, and then like we'll say like 2 to 3 weeks, give or take, I'm gonna pop like two more, just for, you know, plant count reasons and just the, you know, the room and shit like that. So and then try to find some keepers. Oh yeah, and we popped 9 Pound Hammer by Drinks Proof too. So
that dude, that I'm kind of jealous about that. When the girlfriend let it slip that she was trying to find that one for me for Christmas, but she could only find it in autoflower. So I was just like, well, it's definitely one of those, it's the thought that counts, that you even willing to try it for that one. But because of that one, she let me know about that. I'm actually getting a pack of the machine sent up here this way. So
hell yeah, man.
I can wait a little bit on the 9 Pound Hammer to get some.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Not to, yeah, that's on my list, man, to get eventually. Definitely, that looks fire.
That sake souffle in the machine, those are supposed to be some dank ass fucking gassy strains.
Well, I think there's someone I know is getting a pack of sake souffles too, and I'm hoping that they might want to be willing to swap a couple beans from machine for the sakes, because why not? It could be fun.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there'll probably be some other things hitchhiking on with that when it comes. So
awesome.
Good times all around.
Yeah, I was actually putting seed packages together again the other day. Starting to get those together, hoping I get them out for time for people start getting them for Christmas. It'd be nice. That's going to be the last ones for quite a while, I think. Well, it's always fucking quite a while if I can get around to shipping that stuff out. But Prophet, there's even a vial in there with that actually literally has your name on it. So with a few different things you're asking.
So I had some good news yesterday. I help a girl that's 14. She suffers from seizures due to a liver issue. And she just went through all the tests and she is getting on the liver transplant list. So chances are really good now. Yeah. So I was super happy about that. They came to the store yesterday and told me. So that was awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
wonderful news. Yeah. How old did you say she was?
She's 14.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. She just graduated grade 8. So I've gotten really close with them. So they send me the pictures and everything. And she looked awesome. And then she just had to go in for an operation because she was having some issues, but she's doing a lot better now.
That's great to hear. Anytime you hear children or teenagers or anything getting all these sicknesses, it's just it's like one of those things. If you're you're old and you've definitely had your time on this and the jig's up, that's the case, but you're just getting started. You haven't even really started yet. That's just so.
Well, her situation too. So her mom is actually not a Canadian citizen, but she was born here while her mom was here. So they've stayed, but her mom can't work yet. She can't do anything really. They are trying to get it, but she doesn't have it yet. So
that's a terrible situation to be in.
Yeah, it's really awful for sure. Yeah, I help them out when I can because I know they're having issues. And her parents help her out a lot, her mom, her grandparents, which is really nice too.
It takes a village.
Definitely.
Well, a few minutes ago, and then we got sidetracked on a few different things. I was going to say, let's do a dab frog for Indica B because it's great to have him back, and he's looking good. But then you gave us some great news. How about we just do good health and people getting better instead?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Prophet, you're supposed to be talking.
Up until I don't know, the wife let me watch this on the big screen at some point. I never realized that little fucking lightning bug has a big giant blunt in his mouth and was fucking smoking. Never realized that. I'm an idiot. How did I not see that? Now I can't unsee it. Man, that dude put so much fucking detail into that shit. Fucking Buds is so awesome.
He killed that thing. He really did. Cheers on that. Cheers, Skilbo, for rollerball. Saving my life again.
Oh, that was what I should have thrown in there with the fucking worms. God darn it. Ha. I should have sent you up one of those.
Hey, that just put a smile on my face. I completely forgot about that shit, man. Hell yeah. Thanks, dude. Fuck yeah. I'm excited. And
Yeah,
then,
we're gonna see if worms from my garden make it fucking DP's garden in a Crown Royal bag.
Let's see. I mean, that's so similar to like the bag that the Nature's Good guys send. You know what I mean? They're worms in and shit. So similar-ish. This,
You know,
kinda.
if anything has to die to find out, let it be worms. Okay.
Well, they already committed wormicide, sending my last ones, and hey.
And I mean,
what, worse than fucking dumping bleach on them, though, ADP.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, fuck.
But if he kill, like, but I will personally be offended if he fucking bleaches my worms. I'd be like, bro, really? I fucking raised these worms. I gave you these worms. These worms were like my kids, and then you fucking genocide them.
It's wormicide.
Word. Genocided.
Wormicided.
Wormicided.
You bleacherized them, you motherfucker.
Yeah, how do you go about doing that?
I got everything labeled now. That's
How
the
do
good
you
thing
do
about
that?
labels. They work.
He thought it was water.
Oh.
What does the city water
that's the
in
same thing.
Chicago
He tried to
smell
blame
like?
it on some.
That bottle of bleach was city water.
That's how much chlorine's in the fucking.
Well, I mean, I got some over here that smells like chlorine.
Chlorine bleach, dog.
But no, that was funny.
Take my small city well water, I guess. Although now that I'm actually living in the kind of tiny little city, our water actually fucking sucks, and we got to go to the store and buy it by the fucking jug for drinking water. It sucks. It's like water quality is seriously one of those things that never once thought of until I moved to, say, Williams Lake when I left Prince George, because where we were living, it was like such a high iron content. I remember the first time I tried their water, I went there to spend the night with a chick, and did the good old hungover face under the tap, glug, 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 and probably sucked back close to 2 liters by the time that just the pennies in the mouth taste just came through. It was just like, oh, what the fuck did I just drink? And then she comes out of the bedroom, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. And it's like, fuck. Like, and then, yeah, like, and then the place I was living at, where the ex and I lived, and had a house together. We didn't know it when we bought that place, but like the well water that place had was fucking awesome. Like, it was like no foul taste or funny smells or like anything. It was just fucking awesome. And then I moved to the city where they do the water cleaning and pump it full of whatever the fuck they do, and it's fucking gross.
No, yeah, I always kind of was the same. I feel like I had really good water for a really long time and didn't realize it. And then when we moved to a small town, and it's got old ass pipes, and it's pulling from a shitty well, you know, wherever that's coming from. The water's hard as fucking all get out. Like, I swear to God, it sleets when you turn the shower on. There's so much fucking calcium in the water. But you know, and we started drinking, and my wife was having problems, right? And it was because she was drinking so much fucking calcium in the water. And so, yeah, we try to RO like all our drinking water. Like, the water gets filtered. Like, I don't even take a shower without filtering the water at this point. So it's kind of that bad around here. But yeah, I have a whole house filter that it runs through, and then to drink it, yeah, I fucking RO it. So it's crazy. Like, yeah, you really don't think of how hard it is to find actual quality water anymore. You know,
what do you use to feed your garden there, Fluff?
Same water. The water I drink is the water that goes to my garden.
You're using RO?
Is that the filtered or the RO?
The RO water. I give it the RO water. Yeah, because just with the carbon, it still lets all of that extra like calcium carbonate and all of the hard minerals and a lot of the iron still makes it through and stuff. So I would rather strip all that out and let my and let the water just be water, you know, pick up what it wants and give it to my plants at that point. So
yeah.
So there is some science to so just like aquaponics or your gut microbes or your plants, basically buffered water, the mineral content is actually, if you don't have that in your water, like drinking RO water, basically it will take minerals from your body because the water has no minerals in it. So it actually will strip your body of minerals. So you got to be careful when you drink our RO water or use it in your garden. The water needs to have some calcium and all those essential minerals. They're good for good health. I'm sure there's some bad stuff in maybe your water too, which results in why you use RO water. But RO water is not, I tell people RO water is like a last resort. Like RO water, everybody says, oh, it's pure, it's clean. It's stripped water, so it has no buffering capability whatsoever. It has nothing good in it. You've taken all the elements and all the things that you really need, that your plants need, you need, and not only that, RO water actually, because it's stripped, it's very volatile, and it strips you, and it strips whatever you put it into. It will take minerals away from. So just beware. It's like a last resort. It's not something that that I would do unless I really had to. And if you have to drink RO water, then you really have to have a supplement, and supplements suck these days. So you got to pay for a really good quality supplement to get anything that will actually even work. But you've got to, because you're stripping your body of essential elements, you either have to store it in iron and maybe a copper, because you need all these boron, molybdenum, all these things are essential minerals that you will only find in water. You won't find in your food very often. So just beware.
Yeah. Good point.
I metered my water when, we started going through everything. So just checking, with the, your TDS meter and everything, my shit would pull over 800. I am not.
Yeah, that's like, oh my God.
I'm not using that. So guess what? I am fucking RO in my water. And, and RO, I don't have zero when I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm not in an absolute zero water. The filter isn't that damn good. I've still got, 10 to 15 parts per million. So there's still a small amount of those trace minerals, the calcium and all that. Yeah, I've definitely looked into that. And we do also, take all the extra supplements and stuff around the house. But yeah, our water is that, it's that fucking bad. And I realize it. And it made me really appreciate the water that I had back when, because even while it would kind of smell a little fucking like a fish tank every so often in the year, the rest of the fucking time it was like just great water, And what I have here, it smells like fucking chlorine when it doesn't smell like chlorine. It smells like a goddamn penny, It's and like I said, it's like it damn near sleets, when you take a shower, there's so hard. So
yeah,
if you have your own well, it needs to be run off. So it needs to have enough demand on it. So you need to pour, like my mom's well, I've got every summertime, we pour off thousands of gallons just to get it down low enough that it actually, because stuff will accumulate within it. So there's a lot to be done in your own, if you have your own well, to keep it good. Otherwise it will get that swampy. Yeah. But as long as you have enough demand on the well, then you won't end up with those problems. And it's tough to monitor. That's the weird thing, is if you have your own well, nobody's checking it. The town's not checking it. You're not usually checking it very often. And you can end up, unless you test it every quarter or whatever, you may not have enough demand on the well. So it's not actually, the aquifer is not actually, you want that aquifer to kind of drain down a little bit. You don't want it to keep filling up or to keep stagnant. It'll end up stagnant if it doesn't get enough pull on it. But yeah, water is so crucial. And yeah, I hate that when you go from great water and then all of a sudden you got sucky water. It's just not fun.
Yeah, not even like sucky. I mean, it's to the point where, I don't even know how it can actually be that high, but you know.
Oh yeah, 800. You can't even put that in your your humidifier or anything. I mean, that
Oh
would
God,
just
no.
kill it in
No,
like seconds.
I did on accident. I thought just, you know, the whole house filter was gonna, you know, knock it down enough that, dude, everything in my like, cause we just had, you know, a nice cool mist one in my bedroom, right? Just everything was just fucking white within a day. Like, you know, like somebody fucking, yeah. But yeah, you can't do shit with it. I mean, you can't do nothing with that. And then you have to think about it. You're like, man, how much of that, how bad is that shit to breathe in at that point too? You know, you're just fucking atomizing it and throwing it out there.
So yeah, I know my water is pretty bad too.
Like, if you want to use it in your plants, can you do anything to like treat it before you're using it for your plants or anything? I mean, because like what I've heard, it just kind of everything attaches to it, right? Because there's nothing in it. So like whatever you're putting it in, like if you're using RO water to runoff and stuff, doesn't it just like attract everything within the soil and just pull it out?
Yeah, that's exactly what
I think that's what
it accumulates it extremely quickly.
All right. So is there anything you do to like treat the water beforehand if you're using RO water, or I mean,
you know, that is kind of the funny thing. A lot of people would actually add CalMag, just CalMag to add something to buffer to the water.
So if you go to Oregon's Constant Gardener, OCG, I don't know if you guys know the OCG fam show, they're on YouTube, but he has with Pig Farmer over there Pig Farmer's the head grower over there in Oregon at what the hell's the name of the great genetics / farm. Anyways, so he has a thing on there is how they buffer water, and they put it through calcite and actually now sell a product there through OCG that actually calcifies your water if you're looking to buffer beforehand, because they've found in their commercial cultivation as well as their personal gardens that buffering back up that RO water makes all the difference in the world. And they actually get yields comparable to hydroponics by using just good buffered water.
Yeah, I know I'm in a situation where I have no choice but to use RO because mine from the tap, it comes out around, it's over 500. So I've got no choice. But while we're having this conversation, I was just wondering, because most RO systems have 2 or 3 separate filters. And to my understanding, they all do their own separate job. I wonder, little bro science here, if we were to try to figure out which one, you know, we want, which filter takes out the stuff that we don't want them to take out. Maybe we just pull that one filter and run it that way. I don't know.
Well, I mean, basically, if you trust that there's nothing, you know, toxic or harmful in your water, if there is a good mixture of minerals and stuff in your water, they say nothing more than a carbon filter is all you need. The RO is the ultimate extreme. That is the part, if you could strip it out, that is the part you should strip out, is the RO. Because, you know, that is taking out all of the trace minerals. That's taking out everything that isn't just, you know, the oxygen and the hydrogen. That's it. That's all that's left in there, is those 2 fucking molecules. So, or what's supposed to be. If that's what you can strip out, because then you get, you know, your trace minerals back that are in your water. So then it won't fight with your soil to, you know, try to, you know, strip those out of the water, you know, first thing. And I have definitely heard that's where people have had like trace mineral toxicities, is because they use RO water, and, you know, they'll overwater, and then all of a sudden you have these, you know, super high toxicity problems, because it just, you know, like, you know, they said since it's empty, it attracts everything it can to it. And then, you know, your plant's taking it up and taking it in, and there you go. You know, so yeah, without getting that balance in there, you know, it's how it kind of screws up. So Yeah, I would prefer not to, but at the moment I don't have a choice. So
Yeah, the other problem with the way RO works is essentially it's a membrane bladder barrier that only the water can pass through. And in order to get a gallon of RO water, depending upon what system you have, it could take 3 up to 5 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of RO water. Because basically the way the filter works, it keeps washing off the membrane so that more water can go through. So it has to keep rinsing, recycling to push out the minerals that collect on the membrane. It washes it back off. That gets down the drain, and then new water can go through there. The problem with RO water also, and California has this issue now that they've been growing almonds and all these water intensive shit for years now, is it also poisons your ground aquifer. So think about it this way: every time you're filtering everything out of that, you're rinsing it back down your drain. Now that you're making the water even more concentrated with all those minerals and poisons or pesticides or whatever else might be in there. It's concentrated because you're stripping it all out of there. And then so basically what it does, using RO over a long period of time also destroys the aquifer in long term because you're adding to the problem. And California is trying to find ways of remedying now because now they got all this water from the farms. They, back in the 70s and 80s, it was like all about, oh yeah, use RO water. So all these farms are using RO water, and now they've totally poisoned their aquifers, and the shit is so bad that you just can't get off RO because it's so poisoned, and nobody can drink it whatsoever. So there's so many downsides to it just being water intensive. 5 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of RO is it's not going to be sustainable in the long run.
It is not. But now that's also super old technology. They've got it to where it's way less
3
now. They're almost average, down to a 1-to-1 almost. I think the nicest one I've seen so far is they've got it to like a 2-to-1. So 2 gallons of waste to 1, but it's still, that's
more expensive. Nobody's still using those.
Yeah.
Just as it's cost prohibitive to actually get it below 3-to-1 right now. I mean, in the future it will be, but yeah, sure, it is getting better.
Well,
no doubt.
That's for the motherfuckers who are using, like you said, like these pig farms and shit. Not somebody who's 10 gallons, you know what I mean, or something that I'm ROing or whatever.
Sure, right?
That's somebody who's ROing fucking hundreds of thousands of gallons a fucking year.
Yep.
So, but right. For them, it's cost prohibitive, or it's actually cost prohibitive, even though it's extremely expensive to get them at that point.
Yeah, and if you're on city water and stuff too, the cost for water is super expensive too. So just like,
but yeah, I mean, if also if the people who are cleaning the water or purifying the water, that before that comes to me, or my current infrastructure, if it wasn't such shit, I could definitely get away with not ROing. It'd be super nice. I'd love that.
So you've got me all upset now. I hope you're all happy. So what would you suggest as a alternative to RO water then?
What, you go buy water from somebody, or you distill water or something like that. Go down to that
lake you got.
Distillation would be about the next best thing.
So I know, like in the aquarium world, people use RO water all the time, but they re-amend it, right? So it's like that's what they start with, and then they basically make the water, turn the water to where they need it to be for whatever they're trying to keep alive, right? Whether that's shrimp or some sort of soft water fish, you know what I mean, that lives in like some sparkling pool in one place, you know what I mean? So that, like I say, it's used all the time, but they re-amend it, and set it, they did just the KH and GH hardness levels, all sorts of shit like that.
When I'm re-amending, when I'm adding my nutrients to my water, am I not re-amending it as well?
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. You're re-amending your water.
Because I found that when I put in the Power SI, my pH will jump to like 9, even higher, sometimes higher. But I put the probe in my reservoir and add my nutrients, and in 90% of the cases, I don't even have to adjust my pH afterwards. I just put in my nutrients, and the pH comes right back down to where it's supposed to be. And the I don't go by the TDS chart. I go by the other one, EC. So I'm always checking my EC and following the charts recommended by the nutrient supplier. So I hope everything's okay.
I think I liked it better when I just got my water out of the creek. It was just happier to think about all this other complicated stuff.
I wish I had a clean creek around here. That'd be fucking bitching.
Yeah, it's getting cold to get water out of the creek now, Fluff. It's all iced up, and you're at risk of falling in. And someone was saying something about swearing and cursing happening when you get into doing something. Yeah, falling in the creek, swearing and cursing.
So Hana makes a whole series. I mean, even for a lot of saltwater aquarium guys will use these too. They make a meter for every mineral. So they'll make a meter for calcium. They make a meter for everything. Hana makes a meter for everything, and they're just individual meters. They usually run between $50 and $100. And if you really want to get scientific about it and you want to build your water back up or check to see what your current water is giving you, if you buy these, you can find out each. So it takes a reagent and you got to do them individually. So you'd have to buy a bunch of different tests, but you could scientifically find out exactly what is in your water and then build it to what you need. That's optimal, but so it's a freshwater. They're all for aquarium use, but they're great for us as growers if we're really getting scientific about it. It's the 845, TI 845 or 855 is the calcium one. And that just lets you know what your buffer is. And then if you kind of want to know what your boron or your molybdenum or any of those other elements, they make different meters for each one. And then you can really kind of figure it out. What I use also? So if you don't know if you're using something like an RO water, this stuff. So I don't know if you can get this anymore full on, but basically this is a product that has a little bit of Dr. Faust's humic acid, BioAg humic acid, but it also has it's a mineralization format. So if you use something like this, you're going to get all those minerals that you stripped out of the water using something like Full On. And this stuff's expensive as anything, but it really does work. Like this little bottle is probably $70, $80, I think. And it will just give you all the minerals that's stripped out of your water. That's a great grow product for somebody who's using RO. And then you still have to get the calcite or some form of calcium in there to kind of, that's the biggest buffer that you're really missing, because calcium is it's the king of all nutrients. When you're dealing with plants, calcium, or when you're dealing with tomatoes or ganja, calcium is the king. It's what it brings in more other minerals than any other element or any other molecule. It brings everything in with it. So it is kind of like the facilitator to bring what the plant needs. Calcium will cling to all the other shit and bring it in with you. So a calcium-rich soil is a healthy plant. What I find, anyways.
That's very cool to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And it's just, and as since I've been, at this system that I'm running right now for a while, all these things have been, thought about, right? And I do add a fuck ton of extra calcium. I'm sure DP can probably attest that, when I talk about building a soil and motherfuckers come heavy with calcium, heavy. So, and that's 100%. I run LEDs and I use RO water. Yeah, I need to add a fuck ton of calcium to my fucking soil. So, all of that is thought about. And yeah, I'm, like I said, building a water backup. I build my soil up to compensate for it rather than build the water. I didn't got time for another fucking step on all that. I'm trying to make this shit as simple as possible. And RO is already a step that I fucking is too far. So I'll compensate for that. And then I just pour that shit over there and everything works out.
Yeah. And so many different microorganisms are calcium eaters. So they will eat and convert the calcium into different forms. Bacillus strains are more prevalent that really love the calcium. So not only does your plant use it, but your soil health is incumbent on it too. So no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also, a lot of times, I'll even just give it like a little bit of like blackstrap molasses. Throw a little bit of that in there with the water, just a little something, throw in a little microbes with that. And, you just gave it a fun, healthy little fucking snack. And, shit goes wild after a day like that, So, and that's part of it, you're building a little bit of those minerals back in that water. So it makes that transition just a little bit easier.
Yeah. Molasses, you got to keep it down to a minimum just because it's one of the bigger carbon chains in the sugar family, like milk sugars like fructose and sucrose. Those are a lot smaller. So they're actually probably better for a more diversity in your soil, but a little bit of molasses, like I use the recharge and it's got it in it, but that's the only place that I use it is in that, just because you can stall your soil with too much molasses. So be warned, a little goes a long way. Everybody wants to put more, everybody always wants to add more. Oh, if a quarter teaspoon is good, then a half teaspoon's better, right? Something like molasses, it's not. It's actually going to slow shit down to a creep if you do it. So be warned, just a little bit, and it works wonders. It will blossom well, but if you use too much, you're going to be fucked.
I don't know. The amount of liquid molasses I use compared to the amount of recharge most people probably use, I bet I use less fucking molasses than they do.
That's the one thing
I'm not
hate about recharge. That's too much molasses. It's the one thing I got to use just a little bit of it because it's heavy in that shit.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, and I'm talking very lightly. So, and like I said, I mean that's basically, you add that in with like some EM1, and basically the microbes are just starting to eat the second they're in that water. Shit's starting to get down. You're just fucking making them happy right away, and then you throw them in the soil, and they just fucking, like I said, you just see things are happy as hell for like 2 days afterwards.
For sure.
How important is silicate to the overall plant health?
Yeah, I use the same stuff as you're talking about. I don't have a bottle anymore. I got the little droppers, I think now. Yeah. That Power SI is great. Any silicate that you can get in non-potassium silicate form, if you're buying phosphoric acid with potassium silicate, you're not getting plant available shit. You got to pay for the good stuff. So it's got to be ortho or, it's the refined silicates are the plant available. So something like Power SI is awesome. I think it adds a ton. It's plant available right away, and it definitely sturdies up your stocks and works well. Just a little bit. Again, that's another thing where like I think I put like 10 drops. I use it in a dropper thing, and I put like 10 drops per gallon is all I use.
can drop. Yeah.
Good night.
You said it has to be what kind for it to be plant available?
The
So
power.
Salicylic acid, the ortho or the power SI, those refined, not potassium silicate. Potassium silicate is the rhino skin, or all these companies have all these, potassium silicate products that are just phosphoric acid and potassium silicate.
Well,
you might as well just put rice cells in.
Delivered. Oh yeah. Okay. I just put a bunch of them in my totes. My last reamend and everything, so I'm excited to see how that changes. I've been having a little bit of aeration problems, so I didn't want to keep on going with whatever the fuck that's just called, a mud. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna get some pumice, I think, too, for my big tote, so I can put it down in the bottom, keep from compaction and stuff like that, because I ran into that problem in the big old 20 gallon I was running last time. So, oh yeah.
Yeah, the shit's heavy, but pumice is worth it. The perlite just fucking floats too much. It drives me nuts. Doesn't stay where it's supposed to.
Oh yeah, it's always just not staying there when you need it to, and it's just. I heard it's not the best environmentally either, so I don't know.
Gives you more of a reason to keep using the same soil and just re-amending your soil. Throw some hygrozyme in it, put it in a cooler, let it work its way, and then I think you're better off, especially spending money on amendments like that. Pumice is expensive.
Yeah, that's where I have that. That's all I do. I haven't changed my soil in one bed's on like 2 years right now. One, the rest of the pots are all, 2 or 3 cycles in. I haven't fucked with any of that stuff. So, when it comes down to, all the building and stuff, it's like I said, it's all factored in and ready to go. I'm getting my silica through so many sources, slow breakdown, and this, hell, I got stuff that, some of it's not even available and it's fucking 2 cycles in, it's still sitting there just waiting, so, there's a lot of that.
So as you're building your soils and stuff like that, and you're not that many runs in and stuff, it's probably a good idea to use some little boost here and there and stuff like that, or get some stuff broken down into some teas and things like that. And I was just watching, I think it was the Build a Soil, their little YouTube thing. They were talking about when to kind of stop top dressing and stuff like that, and when it's a better idea to top dress instead of use teas and plant availability and because, I don't know, it was really interesting, just learning all this stuff, and I never knew just by wanting to start growing weed where the rabbit hole it leads to. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's what I was thinking about when you were talking about, buying specific, plant available. And I haven't thought about something being available to the fucking plant so goddamn long. I'm thinking about it being available, fucking weeks down the line. I'm thinking about, is it going to be in there on my 3rd cycle because it's, because it breaks down so slow, when is it finally going to be depleted? I'm looking weeks down the road. I don't give a flying fuck if it's available right now because something else already is. That's my mindset is always looking towards the future and shit like that. Right. And definitely talks like, right, the molasses, making like your microbes lazy and shit. Right. And well, that's what we're doing with teas also. Those plants do not need teas in a fucking well-built soil. They don't need them fucking at all. We do that because we give it available nutrients that it wants to eat right away. It's that little snack that we give our plants, to make them all fat and happy, which is, the same idea. You give your little fat and happy snack to your microbes every once in a while, stuff like that. So,
well, yeah, because snacks are yummy fluff, and
exactly, and they make us happy. And when we're happy, we do things until we get lazy. And I'm hoping that my plants get lazy when it's time to finish. perfectly. You know, you're always trying to time that shit just right, right? Give it a good, happy life. And then when it's all fat and happy, then chopping your ass down when you're done working.
I'd prefer my plants to be more along the lines of morbidly obese personally, with maybe a reasonable personality.
Well, hey, you know what? We've all got that big ass fluffy nug, right? And you look at it and you're like, ooh, that motherfucker's so impressive. And you break it up and you're like, well, it didn't really give you that much. And then you get that fucking rock hard, solid nug and you put that little bitch in there and you're like, holy shit, look how much that fucking broke into. You know, so it's the same thing. You get that healthy fucking bud, not that fat fucking fluffy bud.
Prophet, I am never going to get used to that background there. And I know purposely you situate yourself purposely exactly how you do just to fuck me up.
I wouldn't do that to you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Rick, are you talking about because it looks like the Joker's sticking his tongue in his ear?
Oh, I didn't even catch that part. Oh, shit. Gotta have fun.
Yeah, no, there's a
attention to the square.
But the smoke is a gun, if you see. That's pretty fucking cool.
Actually,
yeah.
You pointed that out. I mean, thanks. That is very cool, actually.
Yeah, I actually found this pic. I was like, word.
Good. And so anyway, earlier I was looking over. I try to focus on whoever's talking, and I lose touch with the rest of the panel. Every now and then, though, I glance over at Bees and I see him laughing and snickering and giggling and I think, oh, he's got something going on with somebody else in the panel. Probably Fluffy over there. And then I looked at Fluffy. No, not coming from. And then I thought, oh, it's probably over in chat. So I glanced over. Not only am I not in top chat or live chat, I didn't even have the YouTube on. So I've been missing all that incredible conversation. Welcome, chat. I found you.
I am kind of stoned. And
you're muted, Caribou.
Caribou, you're muted.
To the point where I was listening to Fluffy talk, or everybody talk for that matter, and then I wasn't listening to him anymore. But then I would go back to listening to him, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I start laughing to myself. I'm like, I'm trying to catch up. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like you're not saying keywords that I would even recognize at this moment. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go back over here looking at chat, and then something happens.
You just gotta call Fluff like 3 times a day for like 4 months, and you'll start being able to understand it a little bit more.
I did like his chicken walk.
I'm still buzzed.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Have any of you guys seen a string of dolphins plant before? It's a succulent. Let's see if I can find my own self up here. Now we've been playing with one of the things we do. I just look for different succulents to have growing around here. And if you see those, they kind of look like dolphins, these things that grow off there.
Oh, yeah.
It looks all blurry to me. I hope you guys can see that. But anyway, so the girlfriend has like trimmed off a whole bunch of arms. This thing used to trail down to about that far below. I know she says even farther than that, and replanted them in a bunch of places. And you look at all the water sprouts already coming up off of this. How long ago is that? Less than a week ago, right? Just a few days, and we've got inches of new growth on there.
Huh?
All these little white ones. It's cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. They're enjoying the cannons.
Yeah, they seem to be. And they're just one of those plants that just kind of likes to sit off to the side. Sits right beside that pickle plant that we have that we'd like to show off, where those things started off just like little tiny. Now they're actually like, fuck, they swell up huge.
Damn near a gherkin.
Yeah. So I was looking for the fucking the right word to use there. I think you fucking nailed it there, Fluff. Thank you.
Oh, that little plant's so fucking cute. Cracks me up every time I see it.
Well, it's cool as hell. It's you need to figure out how to put like more succulents and other good shit in around here. Do you do much other gardening outside of stuff like cannabis there, Ganja? Or are you pretty much a cannabis guy?
Sorry about that. Just got a little so up until last year I was doing a lot more companion planting than I was doing I wasn't really pheno hunting for a while, so I took like a year of working on, you know, just basically different companion plants, lavender and bergamot, last year I did probably about 8 or 9 different companion plants in the indoor. Outdoors I started off tomato planting and getting into that gardening way before I started growing buds. So I've been I mean, I've been doing it for a while. This year I didn't do a companion plant this year because I didn't find it was just a lot of extra effort, and I'm working in 3x3, so I keep it down to a minimum and then try to you know, take advantage of outdoors. But I wish I had more, because I would definitely go back to the companion. It's just with, you know, when you can only, you know, do a couple small tents, it's tough to prioritize. Yeah, I got a 12 plant.
So when you do the companion plants, you're talking about IPM and other things that may assist in the growth of the cannabis?
Yeah, on my IG, a lot of my older stuff, Ganja Growah, you'll see all of my companion plants. I think I got pictures of all of them and how I did that. I don't know if I explained it all very well, but yeah, basically, yeah, they'll help you with you know, plant response systems, and also keeping the pests away, and also just flavonoids and terpene, things like growing lavender and growing bergamot, basil, oregano. There's a lot of different terpenes you can bring out with that stuff, because it's basically a communication between the plants. I just didn't find, you know, it definitely has a response, but in a small garden, it's really hard to, you know, to replicate. You know, if I'm outdoors, it's a lot easier.
That's really interesting you said that, because I love playing around with my little no-till bed, right? I just have like a 2x4, but that's fun and easy to play with. And, you know, I've had it running for quite a while now, but like I said, companion planting, you know, I've got the oregano, the basil, I've got all that shit, you know, as like cover crop, just growing with it, you know, along with all your nitrogen fixing crops and stuff like that. And I believe it was an episode of like the Future Cannabis Project that they had on, where they were talking about it, and they were talking about like the stinging nettles. And I was like, right, that sounds fucking, how it adds so much like more terpene to the plant, just being companion, you know, in there. And I believe that it had to be in the same root zone, or, you know, rhizome type. I thought that was super interesting. But what you bring to the is the point I was wondering, is in that small system, am I going to get that same effect? Because I don't want to fucking put a bunch of stinging nettles in the bottom, you know, in my indoor grow, in my little fucking bed, where I got to get in there and, you know, get all my shit off of, if it's not even going to add that same benefit that it's going to add to the outdoor. You know, even though I'm trying to be like outdoor, I'm not. Am I going to get that benefit in that small space? You know,
I think that having that single pot definitely is a good point, because without everything being in the same rhizosphere, certain plants can't communicate with each other. So you're limited if you have them in separate pots as to the effect. Has been my experience. So I think if you have it in one pot, I think you've got better chance of bringing stuff in. Stinging nettles is kind of a pain in the ass to have inside in a small tent, just because you don't want to fucking deal with it unless you really keep your girls trim the first half, because they get in the way.
If you watch that fucking episode, man, she sold me on that shit for sure, dude. I mean, they were talking about like huge increases in
outside it's awesome
profile.
and it's a pest resistor too, especially for mammals and shit. They just don't like to freaking traipse around in that shit.
Nobody likes to get stuck with that shit.
I use bamboo outside. So bamboo, I have a bamboo stand. It helps with wind, but it also helps with keeping the birds around, which I think is good, and it's part of one of my goals in my garden. But so having a bamboo stand will keep them up, plants for different areas. Certain marigolds. So alyssum is great cover crop indoors that I would recommend to you, Fluffs. Outdoor, the marigolds, but you got to have the right kind. So a proper marigold, calendula, has a pronounced middle for pollinators. Today's breeds now that you find everywhere, there is no pollination. Those you don't want. You want, in most most of those flowers you want pollinators to come. So you want a big button in the middle. So most of the companion plants that you look for that are flowering, you're looking for big buttons. Don't be fooled by the shit that you see out there. There's all these hybrids that are just shit. They're not doing anything for you. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I never noticed anything from marigold." Then I see their marigolds. I'm like, dude, those are fucking not really marigolds, but or at least not the kind of marigolds that you're supposed to use. So be warned, not everything is the same. So you're looking for certain characteristics in your plants, but marigolds are a great one indoors and out, but mostly outdoor. They will keep shit away. But there's so many of them that I think really help you outdoors. And certainly I think I would, if I was in a single bed, which I probably will be sooner or later, right? I would do more companion, or at least do like an alyssum cover crop, or something like that.
Diversity, man. I know a lot of people who kind of do the cannabis no-till stuff. It's all about only nitrogen fix, what it's going to add to that. But man, like I said, I've got the basil. I've got stuff actively taking also from soil, but it's there for a reason, and it's got its purpose, so it's allowed to take some, in my opinion. And plus, all those intertwining root zones, everything fucking talks to itself, man. So like you said, that mint might add a little fucking something to that cannabis later. It might take on a small little minty fucking terp profile, or all that has yet to be fucking determined. But people swear on it, and I have good results.
Yeah, I think it keeps pests out of your gardens. Cover crops is kind of debatable. I think they can bring pests too, but basil, oregano, those are great pest resistors indoors. I would definitely stick to them.
I think I had more luck with cover crop. I mean, maybe it's because I run a little dry. So it's crucial for me to keep a little more moisture down inside of my, root zone. So, because I definitely know when I got a good, healthy cover crop going, man, life is just super happy in my garden. I mean, I can do no wrong when that cover crop is just thriving and beautiful. That's when I know, shit's doing great. And about the time that, my canopy covers it all up and it all slows down, and that's when I definitely notice, right? Everything's drinking, everything's getting crazy, right? It's getting to be full on flower. That's why it's so damn covered anyway. But you can tell, that cover crop's not there anymore, and it's not holding in everything that goes along with it. So
it's definitely adding more factors. So a lot of people try to do like the moron principle, they'll also try to just do too much. Oh, I want to do, it's my first run, but I'm going to do a cover crop, companion plant, this and that. They're doing a million different things. Like they just want to keep it simple, add shit to it, and don't, don't go for the home run. Just get the base hits and work on your game, and then shit will get better. I think too many people get discouraged, and I see too many people that are just doing too much, like just, plant's a fucking weed, man. It's not that hard. And, if we just keep it simple and just add to it, I think you have better experience than if you're always struggling. I just like to see people, I hate to see a grower quit. Like I've seen a few that have quit, and it's like, oh man, no, really?
When it comes to soil and stuff, I think if you just start with a good base, you know what I mean? Like you said, you don't overload it or anything, and you start with a base that is in there, you can kind of go from there. But if you're just kind of throwing shit in there here and there and forget about what's in there already, you know what I mean? You're kind of, like you said, fighting yourself. So I think if you're starting out with soil, that's something to definitely do. I know I ran into that problem. I can speak for myself.
And you better learn about a plant.
You can't go back to, bottles and shit like that. It's just a whole different way of wanting to learn about it and stuff. So, oh yeah.
But you really better kind of be in tune with a plant, like being able to grow a plant if you're going to grow in soil, because you're seeing something that has already been wrong for a long time, and it's going to take you longer to fix it. And that requires being very steady with your hand on what you fucking do with it to fix it. Otherwise, you do dumb things, and next thing you know, you don't have a plan anymore. Because, you freak out, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, it's not fixed, and you're like, I'm going to put some more in there. I'm going to put some more in there. And I'm going to hit it with some more fucking microbes because it's not fucking active. And then next thing you know, everything's fucking ready to rock, and you just fucked your shit up. So, you better learn to plant, because, hydroponics, it's, those deficiencies hit you so fast and they get fixed so easily, as long as how to fix that, why your deficiency is happening, they're so easy to see them getting fixed. It happens so rapidly. You just don't have that. And if you don't know what you're looking at, then it definitely will bite you in the ass.
Yeah, that's when if in soil, if you need a correction, I would encourage foliar, I think that's the only way in oil that you can correct shit fast. Otherwise it's going to be 2 weeks before you know if it did any good. So that's, if you're using, like I've had in the past where I didn't have conditioned cocoa, right? It wasn't conditioned. It was becoming a suck. And I didn't realize it for a couple of days that it was zapping the nitrogen out of the soil, shit like that happens to even the best, so having that ability to either foliar spray or, correct it fast is important. And I'll just foliar until I find out what's wrong with the soil. Usually a couple good flushes and you're good.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. And a lot of people don't, they really overlook a foliar. I mean, I do, even if it's just giving them a little fucking rain, just rinsing off the fucking leaves a little bit, a little dust and shit, just, cooling off that leaf surface, letting them have a little fucking shower. But to give them, a nutrient foliar, man, a lot of people do not, really don't, aren't getting the benefit they could out of it.
Now, is that advised when buds are forming to be feeding foliar? Or do you try to avoid that?
Up until when you start really setting, when you got real good bud set, you definitely have a bud. It's not just those couple with, you don't just have the pom-pom. Once you're kind of out of that pom-pom stage, I'm not throwing anything else but water on that plant personally.
Week 3-ish. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, but exactly. About week 3-ish.
This right here. So I got this off of Amazon. Like this little thing is a kick-ass foliar sprayer. It has a super fine mist. It's a Dutch company that makes them, but they're like $10. it's well worth it. If you're looking to foliar spray, I haven't found anything that gives a mist like this.
What size is that? What size is that? Oh yeah.
You can get it in a bunch of different sizes. This is a really small one, but when you're foliar spraying, you don't need much. A little goes a long way for sure. But yeah, having the particle size, having a good head is huge too when you're foliar spraying. Most of the good, the best atomizer that you can use, you're looking at like a $300 or $400 piece of equipment to get the, basically it's a fan driven droplet system that basically, something like this isn't going to be as great because it's going through
but it's not atomizing
nozzle. Yeah, not in the same way. It is technically atomizing it, but yeah, it's not as effective. Microbes aren't.
I guess that's still technically an atomization. Okay.
Yeah, they say, but I mean, it's close to, for $10, it's not worth it. So if you're just doing water, this is perfect. When you start to add shit to it, you're going to have some complications. But yeah, something like this, good find.
For somebody who kind of new like me right now, foliar spraying, that's something you don't want to typically do during lights on, right? You want to do it. There's specific times where you want to do it. What is it? Where the stomata is at that right point or whatever.
Anytime and lights off, unless you're using like optic foliar has got that stuff that supposedly you can spray lights on, no problem. I guess if you use a really good sapodin and you don't spray too heavy, it doesn't have that lens effect on the leaves. But
you want to add sapodins also with your foliar as well, huh? Because it is dispersing it a little bit better. I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And also I always add a little fulvic. Like,
yeah, I just got some in the other day.
Oh, this shit rocks. I just got a little needle here, and you need very little of it, but every time I always put a little fulvic. This is a small. This does not have any. This atomizes well. Something like fulvic acid is a refined humic. It will go through any atomizer, no problem. So this would be something that you could use and get effective in this cheap ass thing that I'm using. So something like this, I would definitely, and so what this will do is this will lower the pH. It will allow shit to go through and get rid of the wax. It'll clean it and it will allow things to get into the stomata better. Things like so when I use a foliar, one of the things I don't use, and so this is a good time to have RO water or distilled water. Whenever I'm foliar, I always use stripped water because I add back a little bit of full power into it. I'll add a little bit of stuff to it because it will get into the plant faster. So having no calcium is something that should never. Calcium is, again, it's a big element, and it's not stomata driven. It doesn't go through the stomata wall. It's just going to clog up the stomata basically and clog up the systems. So it's something that is best in the root zone. So that is a time when you want no calcium in your water. You just want it to have a better uptake. So
is the stomata, are the stomata on the on the underside of the leaf, or is there some on the top as well? Either he's decided not to talk to me anymore, or he's frozen up over there.
Rick.
That's his fuck you look. Underside. Okay. Once you're back on, Chris, I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that answer. Yeah, because we were talking about stomata the other day, and that's, again, it's one of those opportunities that I'm not capable of watching the panel, listening to the panel, and enjoying what's going on in chat. In many cases, it's a conversation that's got nothing to do with us, but every now and then they'll be talking about the same thing we're talking about on the panel. And where was I going with that? Oh, so I don't think I ever got the answer about stomata. Are you back with us, Ganja?
I am sorry, Rick.
I'm sorry. You broke up just as you were starting to. I was asking, is stomata only on the underside of the leaf or on both the top and the bottom?
Mainly the bottom. You can have some freaks where it's on the up top, but basically the top is photosynthetic. The bottom is in uptake. There's some photosynthetic on the bottom, and there can be some stomata on the top. But yeah, for the most part, it's all on the bottom. So the CO2 goes into the same stomata, and the oxygen comes out the same hole. Yes. Fascinating. Fucking fascinating. Yeah, I was doing the math. I got my eye on you, Prophet. I was doing the math the other day, and I figured that, in a 24-hour period, each one of my plants is going through just about a gallon of water, which means that's like 10 pounds. So there's 10 pounds of water in that plant every day, going in and out.
Or you're spraying 10 gallons of water on the surface of your cocoa and it's evaporating into the air.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Losing some that way. The rest is going through the plant.
How much water are you pumping total?
Well, then you'd know how many plants I have.
I don't give how. How would I know that?
A gallon of plant. Hello. Is this thing on?
It's not every day that Rick fucking has to look somebody and be like, "Hey, stupid, catch up." Guess what, Bees? You got the award tonight. Fucking you beat Prophet. You beat Prophet tonight. How
I
are
thought
you
it would have
feeling?
been me.
How do you feel with that award?
Honestly,
Can we get a speech maybe out of you?
Dude.
I'm just curious as to how Rick has gotten so fucking out there with his operation. I mean, it's really an operation.
Well, since you brought it up, I kind
of understand,
really old.
Like,
that's how.
Yeah, exactly.
He's had time.
Yeah, but you nailed it. Is he's old. He wants to be able to do
He who dies with the most toys
he
win, right?
can't do them himself anymore.
I want to leave a legacy. Actually, yeah.
You already are.
If I may. When I first was introduced to this whole format, this is all brand new to me. I had no clue about, and that's less than a year. Well, it'll be coming up in December. It'll be 1 year. Prior to that, I knew about the internet and, but I was always afraid because I lived so many years in prohibition. So now that it's legal, I still, everything I do is legal. I still am very shy. Is that the word? Reluctant. Anyway, I have got too bright. A little plug. Actually, and I saw. Yeah. Last I looked, Chad was over there. So Chad's invited DP and I to his Saturday sesh, and we're going to be showing our grows. And but before we get there, maybe I could just get a little bit of input from you folks here. I'll keep an eye on chat over there too. I got to figure this out. I got problems. Okay.
Don't do too
and
much.
We were
man.
talking
Don't
before.
Do too much.
I love.
We finally get the dogs in there.
We were talking. I got no room for dogs anymore. But we were talking about. Forgot. Oh yeah, earlier we were talking about it's simple. It's not hard to do. It's really, you know, everybody can do it. And that's how was my motivation to start another channel, because I wanted to show everybody how easy it is. So having said that, and one day it is going to be easy, but right now I'm going through one hell of a nightmare. Caribou, I'm always grateful. I was gifted some beautiful plants, and I can't say no. Can't say no. So I took them. What happened though with the disasters around here, all of our mail service is all fucked up, and I had ordered a inline fan, and it hasn't arrived. In the meantime, I should have turned these things into flower like a week ago, and they're still not, because if I close this, even right now, I'm probably, yeah, right now it's 76% in here. And, you know, and I got bottoms open and so on, because I don't have proper ventilation. So I'm dragging my feet on flipping to 12 hours, because then I'm going to have the tank completely sealed. The humidity would be like way out of control. So how am I going to survive until that fucking fan shows
I would
up?
go to Walmart or grocery stores or whatever you can find, or wherever you can, and find even a little 6 or 8 inch clip fan or whatever, and stick that in one of the little the outlets for your fucking inline fans. It should be big enough to fit in there, and just get that exhausting air. Open up some of your passive intakes that you have on the bottom, right? They should have maybe some mesh over them, and just open those out. Get that air exchange going. You don't need anything fancy for now.
Yeah, my concern, actually, is this thing on?
Yep.
Okay.
On-ish.
Okay, my concern is, what's my concern? Oh, light leak. If I open these things up, then I'm going to have light coming through. I'm going to turn the light down here so we can actually see a little bit more. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see what I got going on here.
Reasonably well.
Yeah, so that's my biggest problem. The rest of it, I'm bottom feeding, so I pretty much eliminated the fungus gnats. I'm happy about that. I've got a fairly even, well, more or less even canopy. I've got a couple of spots I got to work on. If I do what you're suggesting, Caribou, I'm still going to have an issue with the light leak.
It's a temporary fix. What are you worried about?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a permanent thing in any sense at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to get the air exchange going in there before you start having PM or mold problems, is what this sounds like, right? That's what you're worried about. And then if you want, depending on if you find one of those fans, that like little clip fans that I'm talking about, if you have some ducting to put in that too, just kind of throw it in a duct.
Yeah, I've already got
that looping down or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you going to have an intake fan too?
Well, at this point, the short answer is no.
So you're going to have to keep those passive vents open anyways to allow the new fresh air to get in there. If you're only using an exhaust fan, you need some way of getting fresh air into the tent. So you'd have to keep those open.
Yeah. And then
you can buy cheap, like $20 intake fan and put it in a duct and curl the duct so you don't get any light leaks in the duct, and use that as your intake fan. You don't need to buy a fancy fan for the intake, but I would suggest either having that or deal with a light, problem with the passive intakes.
Yeah, you have an extra fan laying around the house. You can throw that shit on the side, right down at the bottom of that mesh right there, and have it sucking in. Just leave a little corner, you know what I mean, flapped open, so you get some nice fresh air in there. I've had to deal with different problems with my tents and stuff like that, living in a small studio in Chicago and just keeping those environmentals right and getting, you know, your VPD checked in. Be a little tricky at times, but once you get the hang of just finding ways of getting that air in there and out of there, you know, you're all right. Keeping that temperature is okay.
It's, I mean, I've got a 6-inch that I pull out of a 5x5, right? So I just use ducting, and I kind of have the same situation. My tent's always got to be open and always moving. So I actually took more of the 6-inch duct. And so basically every one of the circular holes inside your tent, you know, you have all these options for ducting. I actually have a piece of duct in those. I have it curled away from light. And then I have basically a shirt over the top of it, you know, kind of almost like a filter over the top of it. So all of the ducting is curved away from light. So light actually has to bounce before it even gets to the opening. And then it's covered by the shirt. So that way I can leave everything, and I don't open those stupid square flaps, you know, fuck those things. I keep those closed. So that's how I get around that, you know. Yeah, and then I can leave my tent open. It's always getting enough air. And then I actually if I need more heat, I'll just move, you know, which side that my exhaust fan is pulling from. So if I need the heat, I'll put it on the bottom of my tent. So then all of the other things are bringing the air from the top of the tent over to the light, down under my plants and to the ground, and then out. So I will actually use the heat. And then say like in the summertime when it's getting warm or something, right, I'll move that exhaust up to the top of it so that I'm sucking as much heat out as I can as quick as possible. Yeah. But and that gives me options, and that's how I can get away with always leaving my tents open. You know, so I don't have to worry about putting a fan sucking or pushing air in. I'm only using the one fan to exhaust out. And then all of the fans obviously in the tent to move the air around and circulate it.
I've got a pretty good fuck your dumb moment dealing with the ventilation for my 4x4 tent here. Now I had the 4x4 up here before and my smaller tent below. And the way my smaller tent was set up, it was sucking air out and then pushing it into the carbon filter on the outside of the tent. And the other one upstairs in the big tent was the carbon filter and fan was inside the tent, sucking through the filter and then pushing stuff out. And I set it back up just like that again when we had to set everything else up when the management company came through doing inspections around here. And then when I didn't, for some stupid reason, I didn't flip my fan on the other set though. And you put your hand in front of it, and where I had it so it was just blowing low, like near the bottom of my pots, trying to keep everything air moving down in the bottom layer. So you just kind of wave your hand down there and you feel the air moving real quick of it sucking in. And it didn't really, never gave it another thought. There's times where I'd be sitting there with my door closed, and so it's sucking, and you see the fucking wall is sucking in on it. And I'm looking, like, trying to do the math on this. I'm like, okay, the fan that's sucking out is on, like, turned on, like, 4, and the one that's feeding it in is turned to, like, 3, and it's just... Okay, so I'll turn the in-feed fan up to, like, fucking 6, so that I got, like, twice as much air going in as I do going out. And it's still just like, I'm just like, I won't go. I'm not going to tell you guys how long this went on for, because it wasn't long enough to be embarrassed about by any means. I tell you that. But boy, I sure would have felt silly if it was on for like a fucking month or something like that before I figured it out. And now it's closed, and you can see it just like, fire.
It's quite amazing. You got light leaks and fucking all these holes and shit and all this stuff that, when you don't want the tent to collapse on itself, But the second you fucking put just a little too much suction on that tank, you can really find out how well they seal.
Well, now at least I know where the fucking all the fungus gnats went in that tent. They got all vacuumed the fuck up by the 8-inch fan.
Yeah, I told you were fucking nuts when you bought that 8-inch. I said, "What the fuck are you trying? What?"
Well,
you
because
need
it was
that
like
off to all of them.
The 6-inch in my 3x3 is like too much.
But it's a 4x4, so I needed more. No, but like honestly though, it was like when I bought everything, I was like, I saw the price of the 6 inches and the price of the 8 inches, and it was like, I think it was like an extra $50 or $60 for almost twice the CFM. So I was like, I can always dial down. I'd rather have more than I need. And then now the funniest shit is that it's like the 4x4 is actually too much tent. Like we need smaller profile stuff to fit up against the wall. So it's like maybe smaller fans would have been a good idea. But what'll end up happening is I'll be running like both of these fans with like multiple splitters coming off of them. And each fucking 8-inch fan will be running like 3 little tents or something like that. My eye could see
you could run 3 tents and a like separate carbon filter in every room of the house with fucking 2 8-inch fans and the little amount of fucking tents you have.
So what you're saying is we'll have good air quality around here, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Your shit will be fucking scrubbed clean and a lot.
Well, that's
you could
good.
buy one of those dial attachments that you plug the fan in and then plug into the wall, and you can actually control.
That's why he bought AC
the
Infinity,
power.
because he already has the control. He just has to set it.
Jeez.
And I like to have the display, and it's because it's let's face it, it's pretty cool. It's the first time I've had fancy grow equipment, guys. Okay, like it's like I was always the kind of the ragtag, just kind of piece it together, and you know what? That's fine. It was fun doing that because it's like when you're like, fuck yeah, I've almost got enough saved up for the next light kind of thing. It's exciting, but now I feel like I'm living in the future because there's like buttons and displays and options. And I don't even know how to work the fucking thing. I just work the fan up and down. That's all I do. Oh, it's feeling a little hot in here. I should make the fan go faster.
Programmed it.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go to bed.
All right.
All right, bees.
Hi, bees.
Hi, bees.
It's
bees.
I got a question. If you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be?
Goes to you, Ganja.
Yeah.
On you, Ganja. No pressure. No pressure, buddy.
I'll be a tuna.
Sweet. What kind? What color?
Blue and tuna, please.
Sweet.
Hi.
Have you ever gone fishing for those things out your way?
Oh yeah, season's still going right now. This is like hot season right now. Things are on fire out there.
That's got to be exciting.
A little dangerous right now, though. I wouldn't go out this time of year. I got kids now. I can't do that shit. But I used to go out this time of year. But now is when it's only pros on the water.
What makes it dangerous? Each other or?
Well, so our nor'easters start rolling in, hurricane season, and then right now the seas out there are nasty. And to really get you have to go out to it's basically an 80-mile steam out to where the good fishing is this time of year, where you can get your 3 fish and make some serious money. So yeah, it's a long steam. So when you go out that far, these down east boats that we fish in are single screw. They travel, if you're lucky, at 12 knots, usually more like 9 knots. So it's a long steam out there to the fishing grounds. The average seas right now can be 8 to 12 feet out there on a good day, and they can easily go to 30 to 60. So shit goes south. Well, yeah, no, like if you see the deadliest catch and shit, those oceans are nothing like out here. That's not the same. Like this is deadly, way deadlier than freaking than up there. And our water temperatures get cold as well, so you have to wear a Mustang suit and all that kind of shit.
Wow. What's the biggest tuna you ever caught, and how long did it take to bring it in?
So for me, I've never caught a monster one as far as being on the rod. I think the biggest I've caught is like 420 something pounds. It was, I mean, we never really weighed it. So it's only by taking the girth and by length. So it depends on the depends on the regulations as to what you can keep. And at the time, it was a throwback fish, even though it was like 72 inches or 73 inches and above right now is what you keep. Those are money fish, but it depends on at the time what your slots are as to what you can keep. So just estimated at around there, 400 and change. But I've been on board and we've caught, as a team, we've got, biggest one I've caught is just under $1,000. It was like 960 something.
Yeah.
And that we sold. So we had an exact, I saw two girls that I know up in Gloucester who just tagged a 116 inch, 800 and something pounder. These girls are badass. They're lighting it up out there right now and they're hot, crushing it with the fish this year. But yeah, it's been a good season for everybody. The deadliest, tuna, National Geographic. A lot of those guys are in my marina right down here. The hard merchandise and what is it called? The National Geographic show. Anyways, they're all, one of them's my neighbor, but they are all out there making money. And then they head down to North Carolina come after Christmas. Basically, this season kind of wraps up here and everybody heads down south to catch them on their way. They're pelagic, so they travel, they migrate like birds.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll catch them down there. But they're making big money. I mean, you're on the average boat, it's only you and you might have one or two crew for a tuna boat. You can catch 3 fish. And if you get good money fish and you get them to the boat fast, you can make, 20, 30, 50 grand easily. I mean, at least 15, 20 grand. It's worth it if you're only sharing it with one person, right? Or 2 people. Make some money. The allure of good money. It's tough business. Those guys are madmen.
There ain't nothing that's quick, easy money that isn't fucking absolutely crazy or fucked up.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they're badass. These guys are fucking no joke, man. Huge balls.
Is the pinwheel out by you?
Yeah, he's Tyler's. Yeah, I mean that's my old neighborhood. The summertime, yeah. Tyler's right up.
Watch that show. Yeah, all the time.
Oh yeah. Like the hard merchandise. He's in my neighborhood, and then Bobby Cook. He owns the pizza restaurant here in town. I've known Cooker for 30 years.
Partakers and shit. I was like, yeah, he looks like he.
Yeah, he's got a nice boat. I mean, Bobby's he got in just because he's a pretty boy, but he catches fish, but he's got a nice boat. I mean, that Duffy is nothing to sneeze at. Whereas, Marciano's, he's got a nice boat now, but he had a piece of shit when he started on that show. But then most of those guys are right up the road from me. They're in Gloucester. Even the people that live in Beverly, their boats are in Gloucester just because it's a quicker steam. Even Cook moved his boat up to Gloucester this year. Nobody wants, 15 miles closer to the fish, basically, for them. The further out you go, the Cape, basically. So they're all at the tip, which is Gloucester now. But it's nice to go out there and, go to the co-op and see what they pull in a day. See what comes into the docks. It's cool.
Not bad.
They're fighting those fish for is wild sometimes, man. They're on that reel forever.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you got to have a good stick man and the way you want to do is you want to get them into that pinwheel. get them circling, and if you have a good stick man, get a fucking harpoon on them fast, bring them to the boat, then they're worth money. If you got a 4-hour fight, you basically have the fish isn't going to be worth what it's worth. Just like a good kill shot on a deer is going to make all the difference in the meat. A good kill shot and a quick kill on a tuna is going to make all the difference in the meat as well. So you need to get that quick kill. When you got a 120-inch fish, 1,000-pounder that can travel without a line on it, will travel at 60 miles an hour. These are no joke fish. These are serious badass fish. Trying to get a handle on that thing is no easy task. So the best thing to do is get a dart in it, and then somebody, the harpoon guy's got that, and then you got a knife man that can just get there and get the artery right away to get them bleeding before, the quicker you can get the arteries opened up, the quicker you can get the blood out of it, because tuna's blood boils. I mean, it gets so hot. They are, robot fish, just like a mako shark. They're one of the few fish that really super warm blooded.
Wow.
Getting that, there's an art to it.
Huh. So like 1,000-pound fish, how old would that thing be?
So like 30 plus years, actually probably 40 plus years even. Sorry.
I was just saying Rick's mic is very rough right now. I don't know if volume went up or what, but man, it's real cracky and real loud right now, bud.
How about a nice cup of frappuccino?
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there, Ganja. Go ahead.
No worries. No, they're a slow grower, like a mahi-mahi or a dolphin fish, some people call them. Those, they only live to be 10 years old max, usually 7 or 8 years old, but a tuna will live 50 years. So they're a much slower grow. That's the reason why they're super dynamic accumulators. So, eating them, and the bigger ones can have more mercury and shit because they last so long. Whereas the best eating fish is technically for accumulation, I think, is like a mahi-mahi, where it only lives to be like 7 or 8 years old. It's still a predator, but they don't last that long. So their meat's going to be a lot cleaner and a lot better for you. Old tunas it still tastes delicious, but there's definitely some high mineral contents in some of them, for sure.
Do they migrate? Tuna?
They do. Yeah, we're finding out a lot about. I totally nerd out about this shit. Like, I go to all the ICAT meetings and shit, and I know we have a pelagic research institute out of the University of New Hampshire up here, and it's they do great stuff. They basically, we work hand in hand with them, tagging tunas so that they have a lot of info. But they have got over the last, because the budgets have increased now, and there's more money going towards tuna. Molly Lutkovich is her name. She's the head of it. Molly Lutkovich has some money and she's now, tagging tuna with GPS tags and more fancy tags. Whereas before we were only using just regular, like a bird tag, but for a fish, a dorsal tag that would require somebody to find that fish and then remove it and catalog it and tell the difference in weight and that kind of stuff. But now with these new tags, they can basically follow the fish around and see where they migrate. And it's amazing to see where they're migrating. We're only starting to figure out they're just like great whites. Great whites we're learning a lot more about because there's more money and more fascination. And the O-Search guys, Fisher there, Chris Fisher, is doing a fantastic job with North American tracking. But we're finding that the tunas are going both down south and over to the Mediterranean. We're even finding there's stray fish going up into Finland, and it's amazing where they're heading. There's all these different genetic subspecies that travel to specific areas, and they are genetic. So the genes are different on these different fish. Schools will go from two different areas. They will migrate from one point to another point, and that genetic pool will only migrate between those two. They don't really travel to different areas. They go to the same two spots. They've just been programmed that way, I guess. It's pretty cool. The things that we're finding out now with the advances in all this technology to figure out what's going on, just to try to protect them. Because on this end of there is a lot of regulations on this end of their journey, keeping the limits down and limiting how many fish you can keep. And the other end of it, unfortunately, has a lot of African countries that are taking advantage of their migration, and they're essentially killing off certain genetically, basically the way they fish with these huge nets, take a whole pot of fish and basically are stripping the gene pool of this very specific genotype. This phenotype is now gone by fishing this way, commercially fishing. Whereas here we're doing rods and reels only, or harpoons. You're getting individuals. You're not taking the whole pot of fish. So that kind of fishing is unsustainable and is actually ruining the genetic diversity. What we're going to end up with is just a bunch of freaking fish with Down syndrome. Essentially, it's you're getting rid of all the diversity in the fish. So it's sad what's happening to them on that other end, specifically on their way to the Mediterranean, because I think Great Britain and above, they're conforming to ICAT rules, whereas we're seeing a lot of ICAT infractions to the south, mainly by African vessels, because when you're so many international waters aren't really well regulated, and these guys are just raping our fish stocks. Sadly, that's why we don't really have a lot of fish stocks worldwide. It's sad what's happening. It's become what do you call it? Like a industrialization of everything. Now the industrialization of fishing. I mean, they've got radar that can show you the specific fish. They can see exact fish. We can GPS and spot burn specific spots where these fish are. We're using planes to find them. The technology has gotten so good that we're cheating almost, so 100 years ago, it was a challenge to catch fish, even though there was a lot more fish stocks. But now we've got no fish stocks, but we've got the technology to find what little fish are left. So we're just fucking beating them into oblivion.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying, it's a sad state of affairs. Just kind of, the typical mankind comes in, fucking loot, pillage, and it's no different with disease.
Yeah, we're going through quite a turmoil with our salmon stock, especially our sockeye, with all the flooding that we've had and forest fires, and just one thing after the other. We've had some nasty rock slides that have taken out a lot of the spawning grounds and so on. It's hope we recover. I love my sockeye.
I was reading the UK was thinking about making it that squid, shrimp, octopus, crayfish, lobster, they were going to make them sentient beings, meaning that they're capable of feelings of pain and everything else. And they actually might try to stop you from obtaining them. So that's rather interesting if that goes that way, because then it could just lead onto land very easily. And meat would be very rare, minus the pun.
I get it.
Yeah, I was seeing that they were going to prevent them from boiling lobsters and shit.
Trying to get this joint lit here. Do you not? She's gone. She's gone. This is actually a little bit of that lemon berry that we grew. I really wish that I didn't cook the shit out of it and fuck it up, because with about 5 weeks into bloom, it just kind of stalled it out completely. But there's a bit of gas and citrus, I would say. Prophet, you look so bored. Are you not entertained?
I've been up since 4 and it's 11:30. I'm entertained. I'm just a little tired and baked.
Fair enough.
And he's entertaining the rest of us.
I'm trying not to fall asleep on the show.
I've never known that to happen.
Nah.
Oh, Rick, you're usually pretty good about taking off about midway through the show, just disappearing all of a sudden. Be like, oh, yeah, I see him eat some mushrooms earlier.
No more mushrooms. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah,
I've learned my lesson.
Too.
You don't fall asleep. He just straight up walks off.
This week?
Did you at least have, were you gastrointestinally free from any distress?
Gastrointestinally free from what?
Any distress?
I think he just broke his mind.
My ass explodes on mushrooms.
Right. I don't think he. The one thing Rick doesn't like to talk about, is his bowel movements. You see him getting all uncomfortable over there. He's all fucking. That's where you're going to draw the line, really?
I don't know. He didn't like me asking him about spank forts a couple weeks ago too. Spank fort. Your masturbation fort.
Oh.
Every kid should have a spank fort.
Well, guys, what do you figure? Is it about time we start thinking about shutting her down?
Yeah,
it's been a good night. Been a good night. Hey, thanks so much, Ganja, for dropping by. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun chatting with you, shooting the shit with you guys. Thanks so much.
Hell yeah! Not only are funny,
man.
you inform me too. So hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good information too, man.
Definitely.
Thanks. I love the show. I love hanging out with you guys. Friday nights is my gym.
Hey, man, we love having you around.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate
great
it.
Getting a chance to actually get to know you a bit, other than it's just Friday nights are so chaotic. You know how it is. You're there all the time. So yeah, this is great. We'll have to get you back again another time. At least once or twice more before baseball season, because I know you're you're a Bo Sox fan. So towards the end of the season or end of the off season here, we should get together and talk baseball. It'd be fun.
Cheers.
Fluffy's just like, no, don't talk.
Love you, chat.
Bro.
Yeah, thanks, chat. Sorry I wasn't active. My internet is horrible tonight.
Well, at least we got a good bullshit in with you, man. That's a part that matters there. With that, you got anything else you want to add before we jet?
Oh, much love, y'all. Peace.
You want people to find you? Where else you at? You want to do that whole thing? Where else can people find you? Come on now.
You don't need to find me. There's nothing interesting here. Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm Neighborhood Grows on Monday nights and Operation Grows on Saturdays with Pete. I love all the shit that they're doing with the breeding project. And Neighborhood Grows is just a chill. We just kind of chill. Everybody's so busy, it's like getting everybody together is tough. But yeah, I'm in most chats. I try to keep up with Grape over there. Fucking guy is everywhere I've gone. If Grapes, I've never been anywhere where Grape wasn't. That guy is everywhere. I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got some passion.
What he does is he has like at least 2 or 3 laptops around at all times, a couple phones and a couple tablets, because there's a lot of shows that do end up running simultaneous, and he does seem to be in every single one of them. So
yeah. Much love all.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's always crazy how he's actually keeping up on both of them too, because I've done the same. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, I can't keep up. I ain't gonna be able to have a conversation with everybody.
That's what multitasking is. Anyways, much love, everyone. We'll see you Friday night for the shit show. Chris Burtz, I imagine we'll see you again there. And everyone else, have a great rest of your week. We're out.
Cheers, everybody.
Love.